All right, so why don't we go ahead and start? So session 12. So another brief recap. Last time you guys had returned to the Church of St. Andrel with the body of your fallen cleric comrade, having been prevented from recovering the stolen bones of St. Andrel by some vampire spawn in the coffin maker's shop. Father Lucian there told the party that the only person that he knew of who could raise the dead is the mysterious abbot who dwells in the Abbey of St. Markovia in the village of Kresk. The abbot reportedly raised the dead son of Kresk's burgomaster 5 days ago. All Lucian knows about the abbot is that he's an emissary of the Morning Lord and that he's resided at the abbey for over 100 years and hasn't aged a day. So while you guys were finding that out, Rowan, meanwhile, found his spirit trapped in a misty limbo filled with the spirits of the dead. He found that he couldn't physically interact with any of these apparitions, but some of them could see and hear him. In Vallaki, the party took a short rest, and while they were doing that, a pair of guards stopped by the church to warn Father Lucian about you guys being at large, that Isaac was still missing, and that the Festival of the Burning Sun was going to take place as scheduled that afternoon. So you guys decided you should probably leave town as soon as possible with the body. Rowan, meanwhile, wandered the misty prison until he encountered the spirits of Rose and Thorn, the two kids that you guys met way back in the Durst house. Rose said that she was instructed by, quote, the old gypsy lady to lead Rowan back to the material plane, as apparently he had some important work to do rescuing another little girl. So Rowan followed the two spirits out, who gradually faded away, and he found himself back in Barovia at the shore of a large lake. There he saw there was a single boat in the water several hundred yards offshore, and he found that he could actually walk right on top of the water towards it. Apparently he's still insubstantial in spirit form. The party timed their escape from Vallaki to coincide with the festival, so you left Rowan's body at the church and you sent word to the Blue Water Inn asking the Markovs to retrieve it and meet you guys at the winery. So you snuck back over the wall and arrived at the winery without incident, and you took a long rest there until the Markovs arrived with Rowan's body along with Ismark and Arena, who had also been at the Blue Water Inn. So you guys then bore Rowan's body to Kresk with the Markovs, Ismark, and Arena. And close to the village, you were attacked by some wild, feral-looking kid in his teens. You guys managed to pacify him with food and led him to the rest of the way towards the walled village. Meanwhile, Rowan reached the boat in the water, and he found there was a lone man in there fishing, and he had in the boat with him a tied burlap sack containing an unconscious little girl. Then the man abruptly took the girl out of the sack and dumped her into the lake, and she started sinking like a stone. So Rowan went into the water after her and discovered that he could actually possess and control her body. So he kind of took control and swam her to the surface just in time before she drowned, while the guy kind of did a double take and then started rowing back to shore. Rowan tried to follow in the girl's body, but the man easily outpaced her in the boat, reaching the bank and fleeing along before the girl could make it to shore. The party, meanwhile, reached the village of Kresk, and the guards there first seemed reluctant to let you guys in, but then they saw, that the Markovs had come with you and brought some wine, and their disposition changed pretty quickly on that. They also spotted this young kid that you were leading, and they actually rushed really quickly to subdue him, which you guys kind of objected to, but the guards claimed that the boy is actually the recently raised son of the burgomaster, and that not long after he was raised, the kid seemed to go mad, attacking and gravely wounding his father before escaping into the nearby forest. So the guards were in the process of taking him to the burgomaster's cottage, with the party following behind. And finally, ending off this recap, a lot happened. Rowan, you learned that the girl that you were possessing is the missing Arabelle, the daughter of Luvash, the leader of the Vistani encampment outside Vallaki. You returned with her to the Vistani camp and presented yourself to an astonished Luvash and his brother Aragal. Rowan, still in control of the girl's body, tried to explain what had happened and who really is, but Luvash dismissed this as a girl's overactive imagination, and he locked her in his wagon so she could forcibly take a rest. And so that's where we left off. Rowan, you were locked up in this wagon with Arabelle.
I think I said I was going to go to sleep, so didn't really have much of a choice at that point.
Well, the Arabelle actually is fairly tired after her ordeal and making it back, and so she's actually, you can tell her consciousness is kind of fading fast. You, however, don't feel sleepy at all. You really,
right.
It's kind of a totally alien concept to you in this form. You are wide awake as you can ever remember being.
No fatigue or anything?
No, you don't really. Again, you can kind of sense the girl's fatigue in her body from being tired, but you, as far as it being connected to your mental process, you don't really feel that in any way.
All right.
So you...
No, I guess I'm just going to kind of try to think of what to do next. I mean, it seemed like that, not the father, but the other man that was in there, starts with an A.
Yeah, Aragal is Luvash's brother and Arabelle's uncle.
I got the impression that it seemed he might kind of believe the story.
You did notice a bit of a different reaction. Luvash, he kind of seemed dismissive of it and just said, thought it was her imagination. And she's apparently had an active imagination in the past, so he was just blowing it off. But Aragal seemed to kind of raise an eyebrow when you said that.
And he's very emotionally involved, as well, with her being gone, and, that's quite upsetting, I'm sure. So hopefully, the next day he's a little calmer and whatnot, but I think my approach is to maybe find a quiet time to bring it up with Aragal and try to see if he can talk some sense into the father.
Okay. What do you plan to do until then?
Well, I think I'm locked in this wagon from what it sounded like. So
yeah, you actually heard a padlock being locked.
I'll just wait it out, with her, and I guess you said none of my quote unquote spells were working, so to speak, but there is one that I think I would like to try. It's a spell called Sending. Let me just
Well, I'll save you a little bit of time. You can't cast spells. Basically, none of your class abilities. You have none of your class abilities
are working right now.
That's right.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. I kind of figured that.
Yeah.
Seeing, as I tried the other day, so.
So yeah, at present, really, you don't have anything to do if you're going to remain in her body, but sit. The inside of the wagon is dark. She briefly lit a candle just to get herself nestled in there. I mean, there's some normal beds and cots and inside
comfortable
this wagon. Yeah, it's small. And there's a lot of stuff piled around in here, but it's nicely decorated in kind of the typical Vistani style, where everything's very ostentatious, so to speak. I mean, lots of carpets and rugs and curtains on the windows are way too small to climb through, but the curtains are drawn in any case. But once she went to bed, she basically blew out the curtain, and so you're kind of in the dark at the moment.
Yeah, that's fine. I think I'll just kind of try to meditate in the meantime, and I normally would, I guess, and then wait until padlock is removed.
Okay. So it's again very hard for you to tell what the passing of time is
Right.
in the dark without any really means of keeping track of time. But you estimate that it's probably at least a few hours when you hear some sort of commotion outside. And I think Kyle's joining us
Oh.
here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh god, everyone is huge.
He's huge.
Yes, we are.
I can hear you, but I cannot see you, Kyle.
Yeah. Me too.
Can't see me.
Nope, you're black.
I just see the VC logo.
Yeah, me too.
Video settings.
Yeah, I've just got black screen.
Huh. It says it cannot connect to camera. What the hell?
I'm guesstimating it's a local connection
Yeah.
issue. I mean, with your webcam.
Yeah, I just
We had
unplugged
to-
it and plugged it in again. Oh,
There we go.
There we go.
There he
Okay.
is.
Alright. I had to unplug it, I guess.
Good timing.
Okay. All right. So I got you lined up now on the grid. So, all right. So anyway, yeah, we were dealing with Rowan here. Anyway, you were resting in this wagon, just kind of quietly meditating, and you actually hear a commotion outside. Sounds like it's hard to tell through the wagon, but you hear what sounds like raised Vistani voices and what sounds like a horse galloping into the camp.
Wow. Good.
Other than that, you cannot tell what's going on.
I try to put my ear against the side of the wagon or by the window. Try to hear a little better.
You hear muffled voices. If you'd like to make a perception check, perhaps you can make out some details.
Can I see out the window? I'll take a look if I can.
So you're in control of your body. That's right. So, yeah, if you want to look out, you see, again, it's the wagons are encircling the tent, and a lot of the commotion seems to be going on towards the front of the tent.
Okay.
So you're not getting a good glimpse of it, but you can tell there are a bunch of Vistani kind of gathered around the entrance to the tent. There's a horse that is ridden up, and you see someone has gotten off of it and entered the tent.
Okay. What was the check you wanted me to make?
If you want to make a perception check.
Okay.
All right, nice. Okay, with that good of a roll, with that even though it was just very quickly in passing, you saw this figure jump off the horse. You actually recognize it as being one Ernst Lamarck, who was the person who apparently worked for Lady Wachter and asked.
Okay.
He was the one that asked you guys to come to the manor and see her when you were
Yeah.
hiding out at the Blue Water Inn.
So that was me recognizing her, not the girl.
The girl's still asleep. You get no.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
her
All right.
her mind is asleep anyway.
That's interesting.
So
Not much I can do now, except listen.
okay.
So
Then in that case, we'll switch over to the guys at Kresk. Let me move everybody over here. You are all on this screen. So you have entered the village of Kresk, and
Yes.
I could actually reveal this to you. Dun-dun-dun.
Oh, one thing while I was reviewing spells, I was gonna ask you if the what was his name? Lucian cast it's a typical cleric spell called Gentle Repose. It basically stops decomposition for like 10 days or something like that. I'm assuming that would be a standard clerical duty, so I was hoping that he would do that.
You don't know. You're not there, and you have no idea if anyone cast that. Nobody had mentioned it up till now, so
You're ripe.
Okay.
At this point, your body is rotting, but
Nice.
it's only been a day or two. But nobody's really looked at it at this point. And in fact, now that I think about it, how did you guys actually transport the body into?
In a barrel.
You put it back in a barrel.
We chopped it up to fit it in a barrel.
Handy.
I'm very flexible right now.
He's not complaining
Rigor
too much.
mortis set it in.
But in any case, so you guys had been allowed into the town, and the Markovs were in the process of unloading their wagon. So a bunch of the guards stayed kind of behind to help them get the wine unloaded, and a bunch of the others came with you. They had this kid Ilya, who was unconscious, kind of slung over their shoulder, but he was very firmly tied. His arms were firmly bound together as a precaution. So they are heading into the village proper towards the burgomaster's cottage, and you guys are free to come with them if you want. And they actually kind of are expecting you to come along with them to explain what the hell happened with this kid.
Well, yeah, I want to make sure they don't beat on that kid.
So, okay. So you guys are following along. The village of Kresk, once you get inside, the mist-enshrouded village beyond the wall is nothing more than a scattering of humble wooden cottages along dirt roads that stretch between strands of snow-dusted pine trees. So many trees, in fact, as to constitute a forest. To the northeast, gray cliffs rise sharply, and the road winding up to the abbey is easy to see from this vantage. So as you're following the streets, kind of wandering amongst the trees of the village, you pass many single-story pine cottages with stone chimneys and thatched roofs. Behind each cottage, you can spot there's a small garden, usually alongside one or more gravestones. Most cottages also sport a good-sized cord of firewood stacked along one of the sides. It's actually cold here. It's a higher elevation than down in the valley in Vallaki, or especially Barovia. And like I said, you see dustings of snow, so it's fairly cooled. There's plenty of firewood stacked along the sides of these buildings. In fact, some of the residents appear to be engaged in the act of chopping firewood as you pass by, and they kind of pause and stare at you as you walk past. So you guys head towards the burgomaster's cottage, which isn't really actually numbered here, so I'm just going to say that we'll say it's this one right here. So the guards, they probably just take the most direct route, I would think. And you guys are walking along. I'll get to about there. That's kind of a weird delay on that. And Irina, you notice, suddenly has stopped. The party keeps walking, and Irina has stopped in the middle of the street, and she's kind of gazing off towards the north.
What's going on?
What you looking at?
It doesn't look like she's looking at anything in particular, like not really the building, but just kind of almost a vacant stare. And as you ask, what's going on, she kind of like starts a bit and shakes her head like she was just in a daze. And she says, Did you hear someone calling out just now?
Nope.
Nope.
I could swear I heard someone calling my name.
Huh.
And Ismark is kind of concerned, and he kind of says, "Do you think that was Strahd?" And she actually shakes her head. She says, "No, this was something else. It was like someone I almost remembered, but I don't know. I'm probably just imagining things."
All right. Well, I'm gonna keep an eye on her from here on out. Just make sure she doesn't wander off.
Okay. Yeah, she seems like she's kind of recovered her out of her fugue state or whatever it was. But yeah, if you want to kind of walk close to her and see and make sure she doesn't wander.
Yeah, I'm just gonna keep my eye out.
Okay. So, otherwise, the rest of the journey to the burgomaster's cottage is pretty much without incident. Again, you just pass by a few more of these thatched roofed cottages before arriving at one that really doesn't look too much different than the others. Unlike, say, Vallaki or the burgomaster's mansion in Barovia village, they definitely don't seem to put on airs here in Kresk. It definitely seems very working class, actually even less than working class, almost kind of a peasant style lifestyle where they're growing their own food, keeping their own firewood and trying to be as self-sufficient as possible without putting on airs. So the burgomaster's cottage is, again, basically it's a large single room dwelling. So the guards knock on the door, and less than a minute later, the door opens, and you're greeted by a woman who is probably in her mid to late 50s. She looks like she's definitely seen a hard day's work, fairly muscular, dressed in very utilitarian clothes. She actually has an apron on at the moment, and from inside you can actually hear this, or feel. You can smell. There's some sort of a super stew cooking inside. The scent wafts out to you, and she looks over at you and at the guards, and then she sees the body, and she says, "Come inside quickly." And the guards come in with the body, and you guys follow?
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
So, inside is like a single room. It's really just kind of partitioned into several different areas. There's a kitchen over which this cook stove is bubbling up. There's this pot of soup that appears to be cooking. There's a dining room at which sits another woman at this. There's actually, you notice there are only three chairs at this large dining room table, one of which this other woman seems to be sitting at. And in the other corner of the cottage is a single bed with an occupant. At the moment, you can't tell anything apart from that it's someone laying down in this bed. And the woman turns to the guards and says, "What happened?" And the guards start talking at once, and she kind of raises her hand, and finally one of them decides to be the one to speak and says, "These people showed up at the front gate, leading Ilya with them, and we subdued him before he could do any more damage." And she turns to you and says, "Who are you, and where did you find him?"
We found him out on the road.
We were walking here.
We calmed him down and brought him here, and these idiots clubbed him and dragged him over here.
We had calmed him down, took away his stick, then gave his stick back to make him happy.
So
Good kid.
you encountered him on the road?
Yes.
Yeah.
Approximately what area was this?
We spell it out.
Yeah, it was less than a mile outside of town.
Yeah.
And you said that he was wild and you calmed him
Yes.
down? How did you do that?
Yes.
We talked to him.
Well, we gave him food first.
Well, we
and
gave him food and we talked to him.
We talked to him, and
He
we're just nice to him. We didn't try to beat the crap out of him.
Did he talk back?
No.
What was his mannerism?
He was like a feral dog.
Yeah, he seemed rather manic.
Yes, that's how we last saw him as well.
But he wasn't trying to kill us.
Well, he did try to hit us with a stick, but it felt like love. Like he was hitting us with love.
He didn't hurt anyone.
He did not.
Well, that's not entirely true, actually. That person used to be my son.
Okay.
But
I mean, he didn't hurt any of us.
he nearly killed my husband and his father. First things first, we need to make sure that he is secure. She turns to the guards and says, make sure he is restrained. Do not harm him further, and make sure he is not in a position where he can escape. I want him out of here, though, before Dmitri wakes up. The guard nods, and they take him back out of the cottage. And she says, so it's very obvious that you are not normal residents here, so this would be your first visit to Kresk, I take it?
Yes.
Very well. My name is Anna Kreskova. I am now the burgomaster here. I have assumed that duty since my husband was viciously attacked by our boy less than 5 days ago.
Well, what happened to your boy? Why did he go feral and attack? Was he always like that?
No. He was our last surviving child. We had actually 4 children, and one by one, all of them succumbed to illness, and which is not unusual in this land. But gradually, it got to the point where Ilya was our one remaining child, and when he caught the illness, we feared the worst, and soon enough, he did indeed die of it. This was 7 days ago.
What illness is this?
We do not have a name for it. It's something, as I said, that's not all that uncommon in Barovia, but generally the person becomes feverish, stops eating, and eventually succumbs to the fever. But we do not have a doctor in this village, so we are left to tend to folk remedies as best we can. But unfortunately,
we got a doctor, sort of. He's feeling a little under the weather.
Oh yeah, what have you done with the body? Did you bring the body with you into the cottage, or what did you do actually with it?
Yeah.
Amalmahay. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I guess we should
Okay,
weekend at Bernie's him the whole time from now on.
So you've got basically this body that you've got with
Yes.
you. All right. So yes, he died 7 days ago of this illness, and we buried him in the plot behind our cottage. And then 5 days ago, the abbot paid us an unexpected visit. Have you heard of the abbot?
Yes.
We've heard of him. We actually came to see him.
He's going to help our friend.
We hope.
She looks down and says, I'm not sure that I can recommend that. He showed up on our doorstep, and it is the first time that he had been seen outside the abbey in years. He said that the Morning Lord had decreed that Ilya must live, and that he would raise him from the dead. My husband and I had our misgivings, but we really dared not oppose his decree. As I said, Ilya is our last surviving child, and we had a desperate hope that perhaps the abbot could do as he said. So we dug his body up and allowed the abbot to bear him away to the abbey. The next day, he returned to us from the abbey. And we were overjoyed, and he seemed, while he was quiet and subdued, we didn't think anything of it, considering what had just happened, and he otherwise seemed fine and healthy, with no trace of the illness that had killed him. But later that night, without provocation at all, he attacked Dmitri, my husband, and tried to bite his throat out. I had to act quickly to bind the wounds before he could bleed out, but in the chaos, Ilya escaped.
So, I got a question. Is there like a pet cemetery anywhere near this town?
We do not bury our pets.
Okay, just checking. I read this weird book somewhere sometime, and just want to make sure that it's not happening. You know a guy named Stephen King?
Sometimes dead is better. I can't do a good Fred Gwynn accent. If my brother were here, he'd be able to do it. He does it like perfect. It's uncanny. In any case, yes, we have no pet cemeteries here, and the abbot is a mystery, and no one here knows where he came from. No one knows the extent of his powers, but he is obviously extremely powerful.
Well, would you mind? So, if you're not a fan of your son in his current state, would you mind if we took him to the abbot to go talk about our friend, and then we can talk about your son as well?
Well, at the present time, I can't think of anything else. We do not have the means to cure any kind of madness. So, if at this point, I am at a loss as far as what to do, and quite frankly, overwhelmed trying to care for my husband and assume all the active duties of being burgomaster of this village. I don't trust the abbot, but he's obviously the most powerful creature in the area. So if he indeed meant well by his act and something went wrong, perhaps he can rectify it.
I think he's our best bet, unless you guys think otherwise.
Yeah, we can go find out.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to talk to him.
I can't really give you advice on how to deal with him. As I said, when he came down, it was the first time he had been seen in who knows what, in years at least. He's been known to occasionally visit the Shrine of the White Sun, which is to the north end of town, and he does demand a tribute of wine from the winery, from the village. But apart from that, no one ever goes up there. He never comes down. The bell of the abbey rings out at odd times, day or night, and when it does, the place is filled with these baleful screams and horrible, inhuman laughter that you can hear through the whole village. But it's
He's having a good time up there.
Yes, we do not know what goes on at the abbey, but no one dares set foot in there.
Well, should we head up there and find out?
Yeah, he's our best bet.
Okay.
I want my friend back.
So, all right. So let me cut over then back to Rowan. So Rowan, you are again in this wagon in the dark, looking out the window, and you see this Vistani camp that.
Well,
I'll be right back.
Oh, let me get these guys off the map. Yeah, you guys see that, or you see that Ernst Lenark has arrived in town, or at the camp. And I'll say I'm just going to use your normal token.
sure. I think you said I was in that wagon there.
Actually, I'm trying to think if that's the one it was.
Or this one. One of those.
Give me a second. Vallaki. Stunning camp. Actually, it's the one directly to the east, so it would be this one here.
Oh, okay.
So, and again, one square is 10 feet for a sense of scale.
All right. So, question.
Yep.
So, I guess I'm able to pretty much possess anybody I can, or I have the ability to anyway. But I have to make a roll correct?
Yeah, the mechanism, how it works is when you want to try to possess someone, you essentially would be undergoing a charisma,
Right.
opposed charisma check.
All right.
So at last you saw, this gentleman that you knew as Ernst Lenark had just gotten off his horse and entered the tent.
All right. I'm gonna try to. Is this a guy right there?
Yeah, let's just say that those are
That's one
where
of
the
the-
Svistanis are.
I'm gonna try to enter this guy.
Okay, so you're going to leave the way, or first you're going to leave Arabelle's body,
Yeah.
and just you can travel through the wagon wagon wall if you wish.
Mhm.
Basically, you can move through solid objects at half normal movement. It counts as difficult terrain. So you
But actually, I can leave at will her body and just kind of. I don't have to possess this guy.
you have to tell
I'm
me what
gonna
you're
try
trying to
that.
do.
Yeah,
You-
I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna try to just leave her body and then basically come in here
okay.
as a spirit, I guess.
Okay, so you're just going to move straight west from the wagon and.
Yeah. Well, maybe like right there.
Okay. So yes, you're able to leave Arabelle's body without issue, and it's kind of a weird sensation that you lose all the physical sensations you were getting from her body. So now you're essentially this free spirit, but you're able to still see and hear things around you. So you're able to move into the clearing here, and then through the wall of the tent, entering the tent itself.
Okay.
And inside the tent, you see Luvash, Aragal, and Ernst talking. And Luvash looks like he was woken from a sleep. His hair is all kind of corkscrewy, and he looks extremely crabby at being awoken. And he's in the process of saying, I've got better things to do than talk to people like you. Aragal, you talk to him. I'm done with it. And he actually stomps out of the tent.
All right.
And Aragal turns and looks at Ernst and doesn't say anything.
Hmm.
And after a while, you can see Ernst becoming kind of more and more uncomfortable and nervous. And then he finally says, look, He looks kind of back over his shoulder and makes sure that the tent flap has closed behind Luvash.
Yep.
And he then turns back to Aragal. And let's see. Dun, 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 dun. So he says to Aragal, look, I don't have much time here. The master's plan is almost complete. My mistress is ready to make her move, and the citizens are ready for a new leader. Yesterday's festival was a fiasco. During the ceremony of lighting the wicker ball, the burgomaster's torch went out, and when a guard laughed at this, the burgomaster went nuts and had him tied to his horse and dragged through town for everyone's amusement. The people are fed up. Then last night, to make matters even more confusing, a larger number of people than normal were huddled at St. Andrew's for guidance and protection, and that's when the master gathered his servants and attacked the church in force. Most of those in the church were killed, and the master made a show of dispatching that foolish cleric in front of all the others as an example to those who would defy him.
Wow.
So, with these events in place, the town is terrified, they're demoralized, and they're ready for new leadership. The mistress plans to make her move tonight and lead an uprising again to overthrow the burgomaster. He's holed up in his mansion right now, and his infernal henchman seems to have been dealt with, but nobody seems to know where he is at the moment. That inept bunch of fools failed to report back to the lady whether or not he had been killed, so she sent me here to ask you for your help. And Aragal says, what kind of help are you looking for from me? He says, simple. The mistress would like you to find Izek and make sure that he is truly dead, and remedy the situation if he is not. Find this band of fools and kill them. The mistress does not like unreliable loose ends. For this, she has offered this in payment. And he pulls out a bag that you can see is bulging with coins and drops it on the ground in front of Aragol. And Aragol looks down at it, looks back up at him, and reaches down, pulls a dagger that looks very long and sharp from his belt, and slits the rope tying it shut, and looks inside, and raises his eyes again. And Ernst says, "There's 100 gold pieces there, in advance if you can take care of this for us." Aragol looks like he thinks it over for a second, and then he says, "All right, we will do this. Now you must leave." And Ernst says, "But what about," he says, "you must leave right now." And Ernst shuts up, turns around, and exits the tent.
Okay.
So, you're now in the tent alone with Aragol.
Yeah, I wish I knew what he was.
Would you know, if you knew what who was?
like character class.
Who?
Aragol. I'm gonna try to take him over.
Okay. So, this should be interesting. Let's see what happens. Okay, so you approach him and attempt to take control of his mind. Let's do an opposed charisma check. Nice! He got an 18, but you still beat him. So you are able to take him over, and
Wow.
you immediately, unlike with Arabelle, where there's this kind of sense of slight confusion but curiosity, he immediately senses your alien presence and fights you. You can tell, you can feel this
Right.
hostility that he knows something's wrong, and you have to actively work very hard to subdue his consciousness. But you actually managed to do it. And so you now are in complete control of his body, but you can sense this raging mental force of his will, basically held in check by yours.
So I just say to him, calm down. This is Rowan. I am not trying to take you over.
He says,
I just heard this conversation that you had about taking out the Burgermaster, and I agree with your decision, and that was our job, and because of my death, I am here. I'm here with you, and we didn't get the job done. So I just wanted you to know that.
all right, there's the rage kind of seems to pull back a little bit, and it's followed by kind of, you sense not so much confusion as, well, actually he can actually speak to you in return, and he says, "So you are one of the party who he was talking about?"
Yes. A couple of our my counterparts made an agreement with the lady, and in fact, the day that we were your guest was the day we were supposed to dispatch Izek, but he had gotten away from the wagon.
Yes, I was there, or at least there to see the after effects.
Right. I mean, we had captured him in a confrontation at the Blue Water Inn. He basically attacked us, and all hell broke loose. He wouldn't back down. I killed 2 of his guards. I did bring one back before we kind of fled and hid, because I felt terrible about that. It was a total accident. It wasn't a direct hit, so to speak. But a lot has transpired, and the whole party wasn't with the lady when the agreement was made, and we just haven't been able to align on our strategy, so to speak, because of all this.
So you are dead?
Yes, I was killed in the coffin maker's shop by some vampire spawn.
Yeah, I see. So one of the vampires that he was referring to. So how is it that you came to possess my niece? I assume that was you speaking last night.
It was. Like I said last night, I was in this mist, and that's where my spirit was, and I was brought out by the souls of 2 children that we saved in the city of Barovia, because I was told, a Vistani told them that I had to save this child. So I was basically brought onto this beach of the lake, and I saw a boat leaving the shoreline. It was quite a ways out there. So I'm like, well, I'll swim to the boat. I didn't need to swim. I'm dead. So I just ran to the boat on top of the water. I found out I could go right through the boat and whatever. So I'm a spirit form at this point. I can't interact with the physical world. And as I was going through the boat, I saw a burlap sack, and your niece was in the burlap sack that was tied. This big man that was on the boat basically took her out of the burlap sack, threw her in the water. She was unconscious and was sinking like a rock. So the only thing I could think of was what I just did to you. And she didn't, of course, being unconscious, didn't resist. I was able to take her, swim to the surface because I could control her body at that point. And then, I basically saved her from drowning. And I don't know who this man is that had her in this sack.
Describe him. I believe you. Describe him.
Well, he seemed very large, larger than a normal man. I think he had a beard.
How was he dressed?
He wasn't dressed well. I mean, kind of tattered clothing from what I remember.
God, okay, I've rolled 3 19s for him so far. I've been making insight checks as you've been talking. He says, I think I know who that was. So you saved my niece. Did you?
Yes.
But this person got away from you, I take it.
Right. He was very surprised when the girl surfaced. He looked back like in total disbelief, like what just happened. And he basically turned the boat around and went back to shore as quick as he could. he knew I couldn't catch up because I had to swim. The girl had to swim. So he was on shore, and he walked off. I tried to follow his footprints in the sand, but I lost them once we reached the woods, and that's when I was able to communicate with her, similar to what I'm doing now, and we made our way back to the camp.
Will you give me back control of myself?
You are in control. I'm not trying to take control of you.
You did. You had to do that to.
Oh.
You are in complete.
Sure.
He has absolutely no physical control over his body at all.
While I'm in there?
Yes.
Okay.
When you possess.
Can I stay with him in his mind?
Yes, you can relinquish control and remain.
I'll do that.
Okay, so he kind of looks down at his hands, and then he reaches down, grabs the bag, and steps back outside of the tent. If I can find my map here. Ernst is actually in the process of getting on his horse, and he's about to ride off, and Argal shouts out to him, "Lanark!" He looks over kind of questioningly, and he says, "We have no need of this." And he tosses the bag back at him without having tied it first. So the coins actually, after the bag hits him, the coins just scatter everywhere. And he just kind of looks shocked, and he says, "Why not?" And he says, "Any agreement we might have with you is forfeit at this point. Be gone." And Lunark just kind of looks down, and then he looks at the other Vistani who are kind of looking both at the coins and then back up at him, and he decides, screw it. rides out of the camp without bothering to pick up the coins. The other Vistanis actually immediately start picking up the coins from the ground where they've fallen.
So yeah, I'm gonna hang with him in mind.
Okay.
At this point.
All right, then let's shift back over to the crowd in Kresk. So you guys, you have decided you're going to go to the Abbey right away?
Abbey something.
Yeah.
Abbey normal.
Abbey normal. Yeah.
Sure, we head on over.
I'm trying to think. I can't remember what time of day it is, actually.
I don't think it's terribly late, because didn't we leave first thing from the...
Yeah, I think when we left to go to Kresk, it was morning, so we couldn't have been...
I thought you said it was like late afternoon, like 3:30 when they arrived at the gates.
Yeah. So it would probably only be 4 o'clock or so. So you've got probably 2-3 hours of daylight left.
Okay.
All right, so we'll go talk to him.
So the trip up is going to take you a while. It'll probably take you at least a good hour to get up this hill. It's a very, very steep cliff, essentially. This is kind of a mountain promontory sticking out, and it's at least 300 feet up to the top of this huge hill / mountain, and the road actually doubles and switches back.
Okay.
So you would be arriving there probably with little less than an hour of daylight left.
That's all right.
Okay. Otherwise, yeah, the burgomistress, she was in the process of talking to this other woman who was in the cottage with her, who was actually a midwife. There's going to be a birth taking place very, very, very shortly. She needs to attend to that. At the same time, though, her husband is laid up in bed and needs tending after as well. And she asks if one of you would be able to watch over him while she attends this birth. And Irina actually volunteers. Unless one of you guys want to do it.
Is Mark gonna stay with her too?
Yeah, predictably, as Mark says that
Yeah.
he thinks it's a good idea that he sticks around. He might also move between this cottage and checking on the boy to make sure he doesn't escape.
Okay. Don't let your sister wander off.
Yes, and he remembers her weird kind of fugue earlier and says, perhaps I will stay in the cottage after all. But do not be gone too long. I'm not sure that I trust this place.
Well, hopefully it'll be a lot faster coming back than going up.
We can roll on the way down.
That's true. Or
Well,
at least if we don't raise him, we could just roll Rowan down.
it's not like this kind of gradual slope, kind of like on Yester Hill. Here we're talking kind of more like a cliff and then this really crumbly-looking road that's a really narrow strip, and then another cliff, and then, yeah, it's a pretty sharp, steep...
But the question is, would a barrel make it down?
Well, even if the barrel didn't, the body might.
Good enough.
Okay, are you going to do any other preparation before you head out, or are you just heading out?
Is there any prep we need to do?
Up
Yeah,
to
I
you
don't
guys.
think- Yeah, let's just head on up.
Let's head on up.
Okay.
When we're about, right before we get to the door, I'm going to go ahead and cast Aid.
Okay, well, you're quite a ways from that point yet, so...
Sure. Well, just reminding you.
Okay.
So everyone will get 5 extra hit points for 8 hours.
Nice.
I suppose I could cast it now, because what's the difference? It's going to be 8 hours.
We'll get an extra hour out of it.
Okay. All right. And I'll cast just before we get to the door.
Okay, so you guys head out of the cottage then, and this probably would be the fastest way to take the main road here back towards the switchback. And light is already dimming. You're just on foot, so let's see. So the switchback road that hugs the cliff is 10 feet wide and covered with loose gravel and chunks of broken rock. The ascent is slow and somewhat treacherous, and the air grows colder as one nears the top. Actually, I'm sorry. It's 400 feet that you have to climb. So it takes you a bit longer. You're very glad you don't have to deal with horses moving back and forth along this trail, but fortunately it is not raining, so at least it is not slippery apart from the gravel that you have to deal with. So you make your way up, back and forth along this road, and eventually you draw near. You can see there's this large wall that it's hard to tell how tall this wall is here, but you can tell it's not that much taller than the ground. But this area here, as you're approaching this area here, you can see is a much larger wall.
Okay.
But the road doubles back to the north and eventually cuts around, leading to the entrance of the Abbey. And I will switch us to that map.
Okay, and I go ahead and cast everybody.
So you
Take your
guys
points.
are, it's a very big map, so you're on the lower left-hand side, kind of, but maybe a third of the way up.
It's a dumb question. If he had cast aid and like normally I would be able to, that doesn't stack, does it? You can only have one aid spell on at a time.
Yeah, I would rule that would be the case.
No, kind of what I figured.
The rules on like stacking bonuses aren't nearly as convoluted as in third edition, and they don't really have named types necessarily for bonuses.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
I would
it's
rule,
common sense.
yeah, 2 things from the same spell would definitely not overlap. They would overlap, not stack. So you guys approach the Abbey, and let's see. So there is a description here. The road from the village. Now, again, north is to your left, so you're actually facing south to the right. The road from the village climbs above the mist to the wide ledge on which the Abbey is perched. A light dusting of snow covers the trees and the rocky earth. The gravel road passes between two small stone outbuildings, to either side of which stretches a 5-foot-high, 3-foot-thick wall of jumbled stones held together with mortar. Blocking the road are iron gates attached to the outbuildings by rusty hinges. They appear to be unlocked. Viewed through the gates, the stone abbey stands quiet. Its two wings are joined by 15-foot-high curtain wall. A belfry protrudes from the north top of the closer north wing, which also sports a chimney billowing gray smoke. So if you guys zoom out and take a look at this overview, this larger map, what you've actually got are really two big buildings. There's this building here, which is it looks like a main chapel of some sort. So it's like a larger temple-like building with a belfry on it and a chimney where smoke's coming out. There's these large walls connecting another building, which is over here, which looks like more of a residential area or maybe the hospital area of what the Abbey used to be.
Okay.
So anyway, you guys are standing outside the gates.
Are they open?
They are ajar.
Thought they were gates.
They are ajar gates.
Okay. Peek in.
Okay. Again, it's as I described. There's the main building right in front there. There's a trail kind of leading towards what looks like an entrance to the walled area that would lead in between these two buildings. To the west, or your immediate right, inside the gates would be, it looks like a cemetery of some sort. Apart from that, that's all that you can see. And the gate, again, it's not like wide open, it's just ajar and obviously unlocked. Very rusty looking, too. It definitely looks more decorative than functional in terms of keeping things out.
Okay.
Step in.
Yeah, let's go up to the door.
Okay.
Oh, and by the way, I did look up aid stacking. Actually, there's a general rule in the Player's Handbook on page 205 that says the effects of same spells cast multiple times do not combine. Instead, only the most potent effect
Right.
Results in the bonus.
Okay. Yep. So yeah,
That applies to all spells.
Yeah, and I would assume that for different types of spells, but specifically for the same spell, it certainly I wouldn't rule that it would not affect twice. So, but if you did cast another spell with the same kind of bonus, it would take the higher one until that expired, and then lower one. So you push open the gate. It has kind of a really loud, rusty screech, but it does not. It opens up without too much difficulty. And as you step inside, make a perception check.
Everybody?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Oofta.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah, baby.
So yeah, Kyle and Tim, you guys are kind of like looking over this big building as you're approaching, so you don't notice this, which is kind of ironic because Adrin's in the back, and he's the one that sees someone come around the corner of this building. And this has to be one of the strangest looking creatures you've ever seen. It's about 4'9" tall, and he's kind of squatting instead of standing. He's coming around this corner. He looks like a beardless dwarf with patches of donkey flesh covering his face and body. He's got one human ear and one wolf's ear and a protruding wolf's snout and fangs. His arms and hands look human, but his legs and feet are leonine, and he's got a donkey's tail. And he comes around the corner looking at you guys, and you can see in his hand, he's got actually a shovel clutched in his hand. And he goes,
Exactly.
yes.
What?
I say, peace be with you, donkey man. Exactly. We would like to see your master.
Okay, and around the
Hey,
corner
that's
of this building,
that's prejudice, man. How do you know he's not the master?
another figure comes around this corner, and this one is different, though equally kind of disturbing. It's about 4'7" tall. Kind of looks female, but it's really hard to tell for sure. The left side of her face and body is covered with lizard scales. The right side have tufts of gray wolf's fur, and between that is pale human skin. One of her eyes is that of a feline, and her fingers and hands resemble cat's paws with opposable thumbs. And she looks at the other and kind of snarls / says, "Back off!" And then she turns to you and says, "Who are you?"
Hi, we're here to see the abbot. We need
The
some help
abbot?
for our friend.
Why do you want to see the abbot?
Our friend here needs some help. He's kind of stiff.
We did bring the kid, right?
Yeah, the kid is the kid. The kid is
Did
still
we bring the kid
unconscious.
too?
You said
Yeah.
you were going to.
Oh, okay, so we brought the kid and this child here who the abbot helped previously. We're looking to see if we can get some additional help.
She kind of bends over the kid and sniffs at him, and then she bends over Rowan and sniffs at him, and looks at you and says, "That one's dead." And at that, the other one actually starts jumping up and down and says, "I'm dying!" And he starts digging at the ground with his shovel.
Get me the
I say-
fuck out of here.
He's sleeping.
We can bury him. Did you bring him up here to bury him?
No, we need to see the abbot.
Please.
Okay. Yeah, the abbot's inside.
So basically, this is the castle of Dr. Moreau.
Who's that? And the donkey guy starts digging frantically at the ground with his shovel and just kind of frantically throwing stone and pebbles over his shoulder. And the other one says, "Otto, calm down."
So, what are your names? I'm Clytus.
"I'm Siegfried," says the
Hi, Siegfried.
Sla-
Nice to meet you.
cat. That was the cat / lizard female. And she
Okay.
looks over at the other one and says, "He's Otto."
Hey,
So-
Otto.
Is the I'm assuming you said it was nearing dusk, right?
Yes.
So I'm going to use my newfound special power,
Ooh.
and I am going to teleport behind the donkey guy, and then stick out my hand and say, "Hi, I'm Adrian."
He goes, "Ah!" And like starts swinging frantically the shovel at you. He's going to make an attack roll at that.
Oh my god, look what you've done. Look what
Just-
you've done.
He very ineffectually. He's completely panicked that you suddenly disappeared and then appeared right behind him and touched him on the shoulder. So he's just kind of not in like he's trying to hurt you, just trying to keep you away from him. And
All right.
you can see total panic in his eyes.
All right, I back off. Sorry, donkey boy.
And the other one, Siegfried, says, "You have magical powers."
Yep, we all do.
Yep.
Wow. Wow.
Awesome like that.
Okay, we'll let you in. Go follow the path, and it'll lead you to the entrance to the courtyard.
Thank you, Siegfried.
You're
sound like
you're
you
welcome.
sound like Little Nicky. Remember that bad movie with
I've never seen a Little Nicky. No,
it's an Adam Sandler movie where he's
No,
like that
yeah.
old son.
not a big Adam
Talks
Sandler
like
fan.
this. The whole movie.
I guess I should have watched that for more inspiration or something.
Yeah.
In any case, they back off and allow you entrance. Otto is definitely giving you the bug eye, Adrin, but he doesn't. He stops swinging the shovel at you at least.
Sweet.
I wave at him. Goodbye, Otto. Nice to meet you.
Okay.
And just for fun, I teleport 60 feet away farther just for fun because I can.
Okay, so you pop somewhere further off, and Otto just loses it and runs back into the guardhouse.
Sweet.
And Siegfried, you can hear a curse under her breath and head into there with her to try and calm him down.
All right.
So you've got, again, there's this graveyard that's to the south that,
I want to go towards the door.
yeah. So if you want to follow the trail, that will lead you towards the front entrance of the Abbey. So there you see there's a 15-foot high curtain wall joining the Abbey's two wings. Behind its battlements, you can see two guards standing at attention, their features obscured by fog. Below them, set into the wall, is a pair of 10-foot tall wooden doors reinforced with bands of steel. To the right of these doors, mounted on the wall, is a tarnished copper plaque.
Does it have any writing on it?
Indeed it does. Looks to be written in common. The plaque says, it bears the Abbey's name, the Abbey of St. Markovia, and under that appear the words, "May her light cure all illness."
Have you ever heard of this goddess? Have we ever heard of this goddess?
You do not know of her.
Okay. Knock.
Okay, so you knock on the gate. You do see there are two guards standing at the top of the rampart wall, but you knock and they don't appear to pay you any attention.
Hello, Bueller. You would like to see the abbot.
There's no response.
I yell, "Hey, Abbott!"
Okay, your voice kind of echoes throughout the mountains, and there's no reply.
I see if the door's unlocked.
Good call.
You don't think they are locked.
I open one up.
Okay, it's a very heavy door, but you are able to push it slowly open. It's just kind of the standard big wooden creaking door sound. And inside you see a gatehouse. This will take me a minute or two to reveal, so give me a second.
Okay.
It reveals a big courtyard, and I've got to kind of polygon it here, so give me a sec.
One.
No.
Ah. I see what you did there.
You're funny.
If I come back like these creatures, I'm gonna do all my dialogue like the Tasmanian devil.
Oh, great.
Just think about that, Paul, before you bring him back. Think about what you're doing.
Who are you talking to, me or him?
You.
I don't care. You're the ones that have to deal with him as a party member.
We can kill him off.
He's gonna end up with a third leg. I know it.
I think you should have a donkey tail. That's what I think would be great.
Well, you could always borrow Otto's. All right, so yes, the courtyard. Let me read you the description here. So the inner courtyard. So the thick fog that fills this courtyard swirls as if eager to escape. In fact, it does kind of start pouring out between your legs. The courtyard is surrounded by a 15-foot high curtain wall on which stand several guards with their backs to you, or so it seemed at first. It's clear now that these guards are merely scarecrows. Wooden doors to the north and east lead to the Abbey's two wings. In the center of the courtyard is a stone well fitted with an iron winch to which a rope and bucket are attached. Along the perimeter, tucked under the overhanging wall, are several stone sheds with padlocked wooden doors, as well as 3 shallow alcoves that contain wooden troughs. 2 wooden posts pounded into the rocky earth have iron rings bolted to them, and chained to one of them is a short humanoid with bat wings and spider mandibles. The quiet is shattered by horrible screams coming from the sheds. So yeah, you've got this courtyard, a bunch of troughs here, and here.
I think Rowan's fucked.
Hey guys, I don't think he's gonna come back as he was before.
Nope.
That's our only option.
And
Well, what can we do? The whole I remember in second edition, I could pray for a divine intervention, and if you roll a 1%, my God will answer. Can we do that?
there's actually a power like that for some clerics, or is it paladins? I can't remember, but there is actually a class feature for that. But it's pretty high level. So you've got this creature that's been apparently chained to one of these posts. This creature with bat wings and spider mandibles. And as you guys open the door, it actually leaps towards you and is pulled up short by this chain. And it is like thrown onto its back. And it kind of like painfully rolls over and leaps towards you again, and again is jerked back. And it's kind of frantically clawing the air towards you and slathering with its mandibles.
Is it only like it can only move 5 feet away?
Yeah, it's basically chained to stay within 5 feet of this post.
Because I'm loving my new power, I teleport right to here and go, "Hey, how you doing?"
Okay, it absolutely freaks out.
Sweet.
Leaping towards you, and let me see if there's a better description here. It's 5 feet tall, has a wiry, spindly build. It has 3 red spider eyes on the right side of its face, while the left side appears human. Has a frog's foot in place of his left hand, and a taloned crow foot where his right foot should be.
Rowan, you are so screwed, man.
Oh, crap. I just read you completely the wrong description. That was not that one at all.
The kid actually looks normal, though, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Except for mentally.
Yes. I'm
There
sorry.
we go.
So are we able to
the
tell the difference?
This creature chained to the post, she's 4'5" tall and has a hunched posture. Long, stringy black hair hides much of her face, but clearly visible are spider mandibles and teeth that replace her human mouth. She has the arms and wings of a bat, as well as a cloven hoof in place of her right foot.
I speak to her in common and say, is your master about?
You're trying to kill me!
No.
You're with them! You're with them, and you're trying to kill me! You're trying to kill me!
Who's them?
They!
Who's they?
The ones that are trying to hunt me and kill me! Their agents
not
are
them.
everywhere!
I'm not them or they. I promise. I'm not anything that starts with a T. My name is Adrian. Starts with an A.
You're trying to kill me!
I go up to her and I toss her some iron rations. Say, well, we're not trying to kill you. Here you go.
She picks it up, looks at it, and then throws it at you as hard as she possibly can.
Well, hope you weren't hungry.
She misses, though. It flies over your shoulder and lands in the dust.
So I say, which room is the abbot in? Which door? Can I go see the abbot?
She doesn't reply intelligently. It's quite obvious she's batshit insane, literally.
Yeah.
Okay.
And as you're talking, suddenly from the church you hear gong, gong, gong.
Which one's the church?
The bigger building
the
off to the north, yeah. And
Was that 3 of them?
from you hear the bell coming from the belfry above the church, and from the other building opposite to the east, you hear suddenly the cacophonous din. I mean, of dozens or more of these creatures just all start screaming, "Food! Food! 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 Food!"
That's awesome. I don't want to go into that. I don't want to go into that other room.
Which
Let's
other?
go to the
I
church.
think we should go into the church. Let's go to the church.
Okay.
I walk up to the door
Well-
and I open it.
All right. Well, that's actually the hospital wing. The
Yeah,
church.
that's the wrong side.
Yeah, north is left.
Oh, north is left. So
Yes.
I go over here and open it.
Okay, so you approach the door to the church, and actually, as you're about to open it, it opens right in front of you. And you see another interesting fellow in front of you. He is, let's see. He is 4 feet 7 inches tall, and he's got kind of a barrel-like shape. He's got his right head is fully formed and combines the features of a patchy-haired man with those of a goat, complete with stubby horns. His left head, he's got 2 heads, is about half normal size and has a soft cherubic face, partly covered with crocodilian hide. And he's got a crab's pincher in place of his left hand. This is my left hand, but on the video it looks the other way around. And a bear's paw where his right foot should be. It looks like he's wearing some kind of an ill-fitting monk's robe with a belt made of hempen rope. And he is actually dragging behind him this great big black iron cauldron that sloshes with some sort of liquid. And he doesn't see you as... Actually, he opened the door the second as you were about to come out, and he actually failed to notice you there because he's turning around pulling on this cauldron. So he actually pulls it right into you and then stops and looks up at you and then looks back down. Then he does like a double take and says,
Howdy.
"Who are you?
We're looking for the abbot.
What do you want to speak to the abbot about?"
We need his help with something.
Two
Oh.
things, actually.
Two things?
We
What?
need his help.
We have a sick friend. He's very sick and kind of smelly.
He looks over at
And
Rowan.
we have
He looks sick. He looks dead.
No, he's just sleeping.
yeah, well,
He's just sleeping.
it's a kind of sickness.
Yeah.
And and the boy, your abbot helped him, and now he's freaking batshit crazy. We want to talk to him about him.
I've seen him before.
Yep.
Yeah,
What's your name?
My name's Cloven.
Hi, Cloven. I'm Adrian.
Hi.
What you got in that sloshy cauldron there?
Oh, this is stew for the idiots.
The idiots. Who are
Stew
the
for
idiots?
idiots.
Yeah, the fucking morons in the building over there. I wish they would just starve. Frank,
That's not a very
why do
nice
you-
thing to say.
they're always always screaming and yelling and shouting and wanting food. But I gotta feed them. So, excuse me. And he starts
All right, then.
pulling the.
Fun feeding them.
He starts pulling the.
Thanks, Mr. Cloven.
Yeah, he doesn't
Have
seem
fun
to
feeding them.
pay any more attention. And then he stops, and then he sniffs, and he looks at you, Jugs. You have something to drink?
I do.
Would you share it with me?
If you bring us to the abbot.
Well, I gotta feed these jerks here, so can you wait a minute?
Go ahead.
All right. And he starts dragging this. It looks tremendously heavy cauldron across the courtyard, but he actually, for being 4'7", he actually seems to be doing a pretty damn good job. So he must be really strong for his small size. But
Can I help him?
yeah, sure, you
If
can.
we're really gonna wait for him, then I'll help.
Okay.
Help drag.
Sure.
All right.
I'll
So
help
yeah,
too.
you start crossing the courtyard. You notice that he stays well out of reach of the bat creature, not seeming to pay it any attention.
I asked Cloven, so who's that batshit crazy lady there with the bat wings and the spider eyes?
That's
And why does
Marentz.
she think we're gonna kill her?
That's Marzena.
Marintz? Marzena.
So doesn't anybody
Well, as
feed
we
her?
walk by, I say, hi, Marzena.
She's crazy. She's always madly screaming nonsense, and
Does anybody feed her?
she'll get some food. They'll all get some food. They'll just keep living and keep getting food and driving me crazy.
Sorry.
Fuck! I hate these.
Do you have Tourette's?
What? No.
Nothing. All right. I keep dragging. I keep helping him.
Oh God.
All right. So in any case, let me switch back quick over to Rowan whilst you guys carry this cauldron to the other side of the courtyard.